I'm Kelsey from roughandtumblefarmhouse.com, and today we are going to talk about how to care for your chicks. So a lot of people right now are wanting to get chickens. Eggs are kind of hard to come by at the grocery store, and a lot of people are thinking about adding chickens to either their backyard or to their farm. This is an excellent idea. Chickens are a really easy animal to start with, and they're a lot of fun to have, and they have a lot of benefits aside from just eggs. They're really great at spreading manure on your farm. They are fun to watch. They provide eggs. They can provide meat. They can also help keep down pests and other bugs on your farm, so they're really a great addition, like I said, to a farm or even a backyard if you're allowed to have them in a city situation. Before you get your chicks, there's a few things you're going to want to have ready, and there are a few things you're going to need to take care of your chicks once they arrive. So, first thing you need for your chicks is you're going to need a brooder. So a brooder is the term you use basically for this whole enclosure that's going to keep your chicks safe. What we are using here is a rabbit hutch. Rabbit hutches work really handy for taking care of chicks or other small poultry. So if you find a rabbit hutch at a garage sale or something for cheap, I really recommend picking it up. It works great for putting a chicken in if you need to isolate them if they get an injury or something like that. Other things that can work well as a brooder are stock tanks or water troughs. Those are great because they have the rounded edges and it prevents the chicks from kind of piling up in a corner. You can see here they're all kind of crowded in the corner, mostly because they don't want to be by me right now. And that can cause suffocation if it's something they're doing consistently. But for the most part, they've been running around loose in here for us. Some other things that you are going to need are a heat source. You're going to need a heat lamp, probably going to be your most popular option when it comes to keeping your chicks warm. They do have other options that are a little more expensive, but this works just fine and it's good if you're just starting out with chicks because it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. And it's really easy to use. So with a heat lamp, you want to make sure that it has, you can see here, there's a bracket that kind of goes across the bottom like that. That is a safety feature, so if your lamp falls, that hot bulb is not right on the surface. And you do want to use a 250 watt bulb is what I recommend, and a red bulb is better. This one has a red bulb and this one we need to change out. The red bulb is helped because it doesn't interfere with their sleeping at night so much. You also want to have at least one backup bulb on hand in case your bulb burns out. You're not scrambling at 10 o'clock at night to run to the store to get another bulb to keep your chicks warm. You will want to keep your chicks at around 98 degrees when you first get them, and then as they get bigger and they start getting those thicker wings, then you can drop that temperature by about 5 degrees every week, depending on what your air temperature is. Now you can use a thermometer to gauge what the temperature is, or you can just kind of see how your chicks are behaving. It really should look kind of like a beach party in there. Some of the chicks should be napping under the nice warm spot. Some chicks might be off getting a snack. Some might be exploring. You just want to see them generally dispersed around their pen. Sometimes when they sleep, they do like to sleep kind of in little huddles, but you don't want to see them all huddled up close together. If they're all right directly underneath the heat source and all smushed together, that means that it's too cold. You need either a higher watt bulb or you need to lower your bulb down so that the heat is more concentrated. Or on the flip side, if your chicks are all scattered to the outer edges, then it is too hot. You need to lift your lamp further up. The other things you're going to need for your chicks is you're going to need the basics of food and water. These little food and waters that we have, you can pick up pretty much at any Fleet Supply store. They're just made of plastic. They only cost maybe $5 for the whole setup. Or if you have extra mason jars, you can buy just this bottom tray, and then a regular mouth mason jar will fit right on there. And then I think if you buy just the tray, it's only $2, maybe something like that. So you have one of those for food, and you have one for water as well. We have 16 chicks in here, and this is fine to just have the two. As they get a little bit bigger, we're going to have to upgrade to a bigger size brooder, a bigger size pen. We'll probably add an additional feed and waterer. For your feed, you want to make sure you are feeding a chick starter. Chick starters can be picked up again just at your local Fleet Supply store or at a feed mill. You want to make sure if you chose to get your chicks vaccinated, get an unmedicated feed, because if you get a medicated feed and feed it to a vaccinated chick, the two counteract each other. So again, you want unmedicated feed if your chicks have been vaccinated. You want to make sure that you are feeding, again, a chick starter. You do not want to feed your chicks your layer ration. The feed that you give to your laying hens has a lot more calcium in it because they need it for their egg production. And that level of calcium is not good for chicks at this age. So you could get away with feeding an older chicken chick starter, but you do not want to feed a layer ration to your chicks. Same way if you have a puppy, for example, you're going to feed them the puppy dog formula, and if you have a senior dog, they're going to have the senior formula. Same kind of idea. Now you can feed your chicks the chick starter ration all the way up until they're 6 weeks old, or some people feed it all the way until they start laying. We typically will feed it to our chicks until they are big enough to go out with our adult laying hens. That's another thing you want to keep in mind is you don't want to mix your little chicks with your adult laying hens. That'd be equivalent of taking a bunch of kindergartners and throwing them out on a football field with a bunch of high school seniors and saying play ball. It's not going to go over very well. So once these chicks are pretty much full grown, you can start introducing them to the rest of your chickens. With your food and water, it sometimes can be helpful to have them elevated, especially once you have wood chips in there. As the chickens run around, they're going to start kicking up all those chips and they can get clogged up in the water or stuck in their feed trough. So if you have just a thin piece of wood, you can elevate that just a little bit higher. It can help to prevent that from happening. The next thing we'll talk about is bedding. Our chicks, as you can see, have wood shavings for bedding. Wood shavings is a really popular option. Another option would be shredded newspapers, or some people use shredded up leaves. Those things all work just fine. Some people use straw. Straw is a little bit messier, harder to clean up. One thing that we do with our chickens when we first get them, the first couple of days we will have a layer of paper towel over the top of the wood shavings. This is because when you first get your chicks, especially if you get a mail order like we did, they're really hungry, they're really thirsty, they're very young and don't really know better, so they might eat some of those wood shavings and it can really gum up their works. So for the first few days, we like to put down a layer of paper towel just to make sure that they've had plenty to eat and plenty to drink before we expose them to the wood shavings. If you're picking up your chicks just from a local fleet supply store and they're already running around on wood shavings, you probably don't have to do the paper towel step, but we like to do it just as a precaution. Some things that you'll want to watch for when you get your chicks is you'll want to keep an eye out for sickly looking chicks. In this batch that we got, we did unfortunately have one chick that we lost, but that's not usually uncommon if you're getting mail order chicks. They're going through quite an ordeal for being such young little birds. Sickly chicks, they will not be active. They will just be sitting with their eyes closed oftentimes. They might not be moving around. Really sick chicks, they'll kind of close their eyes and open their mouth like that and look up and then down and up and then down and don't do anything else. That's usually a really bad sign if you have a chick in that situation. Those chicks a lot of times don't make it from my experience. But if you do have a chick that is sickly, it's still worth giving it a try to kind of rejuvenate them. What you want to do is take them and dip their little beaks in water. Make sure you don't go past their little nose holes so they can get some hydration. You'll want to isolate that chick because it's a very cutthroat world in the chicken environment, even when they're this little, and they will pick on a sickly chick. So you want to get them out and separated with their own heat source. In terms of food and water, if they're in a pretty tough state, you don't necessarily have to worry about food and water at the moment. You do want to make sure you give them drinks, but you don't want to have water just sitting in there because they can fall over in it and drown. So if you are going to have water in there, if they are looking a little more lively, like they might be recovering, a pop bottle cap is a really good option to put just a few little sips of water in there for them. Other things you can watch out for is sometimes your chicks might have a crooked toe. That's something you can easily fix just with a little bit of medical tape. You can put down a piece of tape, set their little feet on the tape and have their toes situated the way it should be, and put another piece of tape over top. So it works as kind of a little cast so their toe will grow correctly. Something else you might see with chicks is splayed legs. That is if your chick looks like they're doing the splits. You can take a Band-Aid and attach it to, if you've got your little chick legs, you can attach part of the Band-Aid here and part of the Band-Aid here to hold their legs together upright. So that way they can start walking. One thing you do want to look out for as well with your chicks is something called pasty butt. Pasty butt looks kind of like a grayish toothpaste almost that'll be caked onto their bottoms. This can happen because of stress or dehydration or some other reasons. And you want to make sure you get that removed from your chicks. And how you do that is you take a washcloth, soak it in warm water, and then press it against your chick's little butt and very gently loosen and work that off. You don't ever want to just take it and start picking it off the chick because that paste can be attached still inside of your chick and can cause a lot of damage. So it doesn't have to be a fatal thing. Again, if you just use that warm washcloth and work it off, it should be fine. But that's something every day when you come in and are checking your chick's food and water and their temperatures, you want to kind of just check each individual chick and look and make sure they don't have any sort of pasty butt situation going on. For the most part, your chicks should be happy, healthy, vigorous as long as you're taking good care of them. But those are some things that I have seen in the past and just a few of the ways you can address them. So that's it. Chickens really don't need a lot. They need food, water, a safe place to be, and heat, and you should be pretty well set. Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you will like and subscribe. Every week we post new blog posts and new videos about farming, food, family, and fortitude here at our Rough and Tumble farmhouse.